Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the November Wellbeing webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating the holiday season, asking for help and support to help you have a healthy holidays. My name is Kelsey Van Paris. I am a kinetic health specialist and certified health coach.
And I am Andrea Hickle, and I am a kinetic health specialist as well as a licensed clinical social worker.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, so to start out today, we're going to go over just some webinar housekeeping for those of you that might not be familiar with GoToWebinar. So all attendees will be in listen-only mode for the duration of our webinar. If you guys have any questions or comments, we encourage them. We do have somebody manning the chat box, and it's located on the right-hand side of your webinar screen, and so we will be able to answer those questions for you at the end. For audio access, attendees can use their computer audio or call in with the phone option. And then finally, the presentation slides and resources can be downloaded by clicking the icon on the right-hand side of your webinar screen.
All right, it's officially here. With the holiday season creeping up, you will have likely found yourself with a calendar full of events in the form of holiday parties, family gatherings, socials at your office, or even being out and about more frequently, whether it be to shop for gifts, grab a meal with friends or family, or go out for a drink with old friends. And when you think about these types of events, you may be excited about what's to come, or you may already feel drained. It's a long month and a half for some people. So over the next 15 minutes, we're just going to talk about how you can really take care of yourself physically and mentally to keep your body running efficiently through this holiday season.
For sure. So why are we talking about our health around the holidays? As Kelsey mentioned, it's a very exciting time. It's a busy time. But it's important to acknowledge that for a lot of reasons, it can be both physically and mentally draining. And the holidays are also not a joyous time for everyone. So while there is a lot of joy and celebration with this time of year, it can also be very difficult for a variety of different reasons as well. And even for those that this is a joyous time, we're still doing a lot. We are, you can both be really enjoying all of the parties and events and time with family while also feeling both physically and mentally drained. So we want to find ways that we can manage that. And that's why we're here today.
Yeah, so stick with us for the next 15 minutes and find some ways to gift yourself that peace this holiday season.
For sure. So we're going to first discuss some signs and symptoms to know, am I struggling? Because that's the other thing too. You may know that the holiday season is difficult for you for whatever reason. But you also may not know that you're struggling physically and mentally because you're just go throughout this time of year. So it's important to know some signs and symptoms to look out for. And there's both mental health signs and physical health signs. So we're going to kind of discuss that as well. But when we look at our mental health, a lot of times we might feel a little bit more anxious, nervous, or jumpy. And there could be a variety of reasons for that. But you could also not know why you're anxious. It could just be an overwhelmed feeling. You might notice a difficulty concentrating. I know this is one for me when I've got a ton on my plate. I'm so scatterbrained. I can't focus on one thing at a time. And your brain's a little foggy. That could be a sign that the stress is kind of getting to you. Another thing to look out for is just kind of overall negative attitude. Maybe being a Scrooge in this time of year because you're frankly just overwhelmed, right? Low self-image. So a lot of times this time of year can be associated with needing to be perfect, needing to have the best holiday decor, the best holiday card, get the best gifts. And so that can really impact our self-esteem and our mental health. And then the final thing that I put on here was just being easily irritated. And that's another one that I am guilty of as well. When I am overwhelmed, I notice myself snapping at people or getting angry and irritable really for no reason. So these might be some of the more mental health or behavioral things you want to look out for. And I'm going to let Kelsey discuss some of the physical things that might be going on as well.
Yeah, so let's transition over to why physical health is important during the holidays. And I know a lot of these presentations around this time are talking about getting your steps in, getting that workout in, or adding some veggies to your plate. We're not going there this time. We're really talking about how that stress can manifest itself into those physical symptoms. And so if you've listened to any of Andrea's presentations before, you'll probably recognize the term name it to tame it. So essentially identifying those feelings that are creeping up for you around the holidays can help you to cope. So if you're saying, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety right now, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling a little depressed, name that symptom for you to kind of help yourself take those next steps. And so when you're stressed, there's a variety of physical symptoms that can manifest, kind of reflecting that body's, flight or fight response, when you're in that heightened sense of stress. And so these symptoms can range anywhere from mild to severe, and kind of depending how long you're dealing with them. Some are very short-lived. Maybe it's to one specific event, or maybe it's more chronic. Maybe it takes place now through the new year. So identifying that for yourself will really help. But some of those common physical symptoms of stress can include headaches. They can include tension, sore muscles, especially if you feel you carry that tension in your neck, your shoulders. Kind of take assessment of your body to see maybe where you're holding that. A lot of the time for those more chronic stressful situations, so like I mentioned now through the new year, you might find yourself with a weaker immune system. Are you getting sick more often? Are you just feeling icky a little more often? That can really be in response to that prolonged stress. And this is definitely not the time we want to be
not
sick
in the
and
winter
out.
season.
So
for sure.
Taking care of yourself can help boost that immune system. We also can see a loss of energy. You're doing a lot right now, whether it's trying to juggle work as well as buying gifts for people and prepping for any events you're attending,
and just the day-to-day family responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're just cramming more in than you are in your typical day.
Yeah.
So loss of energy is a huge one. You could see changes in digestion or sleeping problems, especially as those to-do lists grow and grow and grow. So a lot of people lose sleep over that. So making sure that's a priority. And then some people do see high blood pressure or blood pressure increases during this time.
Yeah. For sure. So now that we've talked about, okay, what are some of these negative things we might be seeing? We promise we do have some solutions to try to help prevent that from happening, and have some positive takeaways. So one of the first things is prioritizing. And this is one that I try to live by all year round. But during the holiday season, it is very key. And it's important to know you, to know what's important to you, what you value during this time of year, and also what are some triggers for you? What are some things you want to stay away from this time of year? So as we mentioned, we're going to have a lot of events, a lot of quote unquote obligations, both for ourselves, maybe our spouses, our children, other family members, in-laws. The list goes on and on, right? Maybe sit down and think, what are the things that, first of all, I have to go to, or the things that I've got to get done, right? And then assess, am I saying that I have to go to this or I have to get this done because it is truly a have to do, or because I'm putting that expectation on myself? So that's one of the first things that I would do, is kind of sit down and be honest with yourself. This is a great time to do that. And then once you've kind of parsed down that list of like, okay, here are the things that for sure I want to make a priority because they're important to me, do an extra layer of reflection and saying, what are some things that I'm actually looking forward to and why? Make sure that you are trying to be present in those moments for those events. That's a challenge that I always try to do for myself because I am for sure more introverted. And so Kelsey knows this well. I for sure will stay away from some events if I just am not feeling it mentally or emotionally. But the events I do show up to, I try to be present and I try to come with it having a why, having something that I enjoy at that event. And so the key here is skip things that don't fit for you. It's okay not to go to everything. you've got to prioritize your health. And a part of that goes back to not only that mental space, but some of the, am I getting enough sleep? Is there enough time in the day, right? Some of that physical stuff too. There's just not enough time in the day to do everything. So prioritize. That's the first thing we're going to talk about here. And then we're going to move on to how to manage. So, these are some things that are within your control once you've kind of parsed down prioritizing those events, prioritizing those things that are must-haves. You've also shifted your mindset and really made it a positive for you, so that you can be present in those moments. It's time to think about maybe some of those little things that we don't think about. Again, this time of year, we tend to see perfectionism or wanting to be that perfect online image, have those perfect photos, those perfect cookies, gifts, perfect Thanksgiving table, right? Whatever that expectation may be that you have in your mind, it's important that we try to let go of it, and we manage those expectations. So some of this stuff is try to allow yourself to stop doing one thing this year. Evaluate maybe that list of all the things you do. And I will tell you guys, I am guilty as well. I am the one that wants to do it all, the matching PJs, the elf on the shelf, all the stuff. I want to do it all. But maybe look at it and say, okay, I every year make cookies for cookie exchanges, and I do, 6 different types. I'm going to do 5, right? Mm-hmm. It sounds simple. It sounds kind of silly when you say it aloud, but it can make a difference. Another example, again, the holiday cards, right? Like, they're fun to do, great memories, but if you don't like doing holiday cards, don't do the holiday cards, right? Really prioritize those things that are meaningful and impactful for you.
And I think for this one, a big tip could be do a digital card.
Yeah.
If you have a photo you're just really loving to share, but it's the sending out the list, share a digital card, put it on your social media, or just send it in an email to some of your friends and family. That's an easier take on doing the big lift.
100%. And then again, if there are certain things like decorating, some people love decorating for Christmas, some people hate it, or baking and cooking, some people love it, some people hate it. But if there are some of those that you're like, I'm just dreading this, how can you make it maybe a fun event? I love doing, Christmas tree decorating with family and things like that. How can you try to make it more of those core memory events instead of just a day-to-day hassle? So those are some things that you can for sure control that will hopefully help manage your mental health this time of year.
And I think you made a really good point about being honest with yourself on, is it for you? Is it your expectation? Or is it more of an external pressure of, I have family I want to impress, I have social media I want to impress? Those are very real things. And so being honest with yourself on who you really are doing this for.
100%. Honesty is key.
And, attending holiday parties during the year can be very fun. There's all different types you can go to, but it can also bring on a lot of stress, especially with the pressure of socializing, juggling your time with your normal day-to-day. So the key is to approach these parties or gatherings with a mindset that focuses on your enjoyment rather than your obligation. So I'm just going to quickly outline some strategies to help you reduce that stress and try to just have a more enjoyable time. And the first thing is to set realistic expectations for yourself. So like Andrea mentioned, it is okay to say no to these events. Mm-hmm. You do not have to attend every gathering. Take note of how that party or gathering impacts the rest of your week. And in those lists, like Andrea also mentioned, when you're listing out what you have going on that season, it might just look like, a 3-hour event on a Saturday. I can absolutely manage that. Yeah. But will there be any prep work that bleeds into that event? Or are there other things that, although not on your calendar hold for those 3 hours, does it bleed into the rest of your week, then causing added stress? So just taking note into that when you are setting your expectations for these parties and gatherings. The next thing is to plan ahead. And again, this kind of goes back to those lists that we referred to, but planning ahead, it can really look like you only have maybe events every weekend. Oh, I can handle that. I have a whole week in between that. But planning ahead kind of helps you to see all of your commitments before you're in the thick of it and saying, oh my gosh, I think I committed to too much.
Well, and are you planning rest time?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is a huge one, to make sure you have downtime when you need it. The next one would be to dress comfortably. I know feelings of anxiousness or jittery, if you're not dressing in the right clothing, or if you're not confident in what you're wearing, you can still look holiday chic in comfortable clothes. So really plan accordingly. Are you going to be fidgeting with things all night long, or are you just going to wish you wore different shoes? Plan that out ahead of time. Dress comfortably. You're still going to look great. And definitely going into all these events with a positive mindset. There's a lot of things. Sometimes the drive there you're dreading, or the parking situation, can be really hectic. That all can also bleed into that event and kind of how you're feeling. So having a positive mindset, or at least noting one thing you are grateful for. Maybe it's seeing your friends you haven't seen in a long time, having a great cocktail, enjoying a nice dinner.
Yeah.
Pick out one thing you are grateful for, and that can help shift your mindset to more of the joyous side of why you're attending that event. And lastly, when you're an attendee, a lot of people like to bring a gift. And that's wonderful. I know the host always appreciates it. But if your week has been really hectic, what is an easy thing you can do? Maybe it's just bringing a bottle of wine. Maybe it's stopping at your favorite bakery to provide the dessert for the evening. Don't feel like your gift has to be, this grandest homemade item that then is going to add more into your week. That's a wonderful thing to think about when you're going into your next event. What's something easy but thoughtful that I can bring?
100%.
But now, you have those who attend all year long. But what about if you're hosting? Hosting a party or a gathering can be fun, but it can also be very stressful, especially when you're trying to ensure everything is going smoothly. And the good news is that with a little planning and a little preparation, hosting does not have to be overwhelming. So we're going to outline here just some easy things you can incorporate into your next gathering that you are hosting to make it hopefully go a little bit smoother. And that first one is just planning ahead and delegating. If you could even jot down a timeline before your guests arrive, when you have to put things in the oven, when you have to make sure the ice is stocked, when people are set to arrive, if you kind of have a timeline and just keep it in your prep area to remind you of when you're wanting to do all of those things, that can really help you. If you chat with a guest a little bit too long, you're then scrambling, you're a little bit flustered of when did I say I was going to put that casserole in the oven, or put the appetizer out. So as long as you have kind of a handy timeline somewhere, that can really help you stay on track when things tend to go astray.
And I bet the delegating can help too if you have a co-host or somebody to say, hey, can you put that in the oven while I'm handling that?
Definitely. I like to call them a party partner, if you will. Yeah. So going into that next point, if you have a spouse, a friend, or a guest who's arriving early, and that's someone that won't mind this job or that you trust to do that job, maybe assigning them some things, delegating. Say, can you make sure the ice is always stocked at the bar? Or can you remind me of XYZ? So having that party partner, someone assigned that that person is in charge of that, maybe getting people's drinks throughout the evening, that just takes one more thing off your plate, and it gives someone a job. And there's a lot of people who really like to be helpful. That's a great way to do that. The next thing is keeping the menu simple. And I think I'm talking to myself here when I wrote this one. Don't keep adding menu items. If you have a solid menu for your event, I know it's so tempting to look in cookbooks or see what other people are making, hop on Pinterest, and something looks great and you can't pass it up. If that's the case, either replace it with something that's already on your menu, or save it for your next event. I think oftentimes we then add too many things for the menu, then you're baking constantly. There's never any downtime. So keep it simple and either replace it or add it to the next time. You can also buy it ready to go. There are plenty of restaurants who are right now promoting Thanksgiving, holiday items that are like, let us take the work off of you. And if that's something you have a really hard time doing, I absolutely understand. You could put it in your own dish and pass it off
100%.
as your own.
No shame
again,
there.
again, we're here to help you and give you some tricks as you're getting through this. So that's fine. Buy it ready to go. Costco, Sam's, places like that have great options as well. If you can buy it and you're happy to do so, please do. You can also delegate like the wine or the appetizers onto other people. And so that also goes with that delegation category, but also just keeping it simple, having them take care of it, get it off your plate. Those are great go-tos. Again, people want to help you when you're hosting. Another thing is setting up early. What can you do the night before? Could you get the tables all set up? Can you rearrange some of your furniture so you're not panicking the day of where you're going to have people sitting? What can be done the night before? What can be done the morning of? Maybe it's setting out your bar and your glasses. Do as much as you can beforehand, because again, those last minute items always pop up on the day of, and you don't need to be scrambling to get those items done. And I think most importantly, taking care of yourself. I know it doesn't seem like it, but if you have time to go on a quick walk or to turn on your favorite playlist, your favorite podcast, something to listen to kind of while you're doing your everyday prep items, that is huge into taking care of yourself. And also make sure you eat. A lot of people, especially when they're hosting, you're getting ready for the day, you forget to eat. And that's just going to help you to feel calmer going into the moment of hosting. You're going to make sure your body's satisfied and ready to endure the evening.
100%. Eating and hydrating for sure. Okay, so now we're going to go with some good kind of takeaways of reminders on how you can redefine what the holidays look like, or the expectation that maybe you had previously held for these holidays. This redefining acronym has some words to remember, and I think this can be a good thing to look back on as a reminder for yourself. If you need a quick little refresher of, oh yeah, what did Kelsey and Andrea say about this, right? So when we look at redefining, the reason that we chose the word redefine and what really are the must-do items, right? Versus the things that we put on ourselves, which takes me to the E of expectation. So what are the expectations that we set for ourselves? Are they realistic expectations? And how can we manage our expectations? Delegating. Kelsey touched on this, I touched on this, but delegating is huge. You do not need to take on the burden of all of this yourself. So make sure that you are delegating to others, taking things off your plate. Evaluating. I think this is huge to do every year before the holiday season. Evaluate, what does my setup currently look like, both professionally, personally, in my family structure, and what the holidays mean to me, and if I need to shift what the holidays look like this year. Another huge one that we didn't touch on a ton, but is another big stressor, is finances around the holidays. And some years we might have to say, like, it's not in the budget to do a big, whatever. And that's okay. So I think that's a part of evaluating too. Flexibility, allowing yourself flexibility. Things don't, it's great for us to plan ahead. I'm a big planner, but I'm also big on, you need to know that not everything's going to go as planned. Events are going to shift. People are going to get sick this time of year. Be flexible. The most important thing is that you're showing up and being present and taking care of yourself. Initiating, so starting new traditions, that's a fun thing to do. And I think, I'm not saying this in adding another thing on your plate. We've got to start a new tradition every year, but that goes back to, as you're evaluating what you currently have been doing and what your structure looks like, are there ways that we can change the way that we do traditions to maybe make it easier on us? In for no, right? Saying no. We made that clear. Insisting on time for yourself and others, very important. Negative. So this is just a reminder that there's going to maybe be some negativity around this time of year. It can be ignored. We can avoid the negativity and focus just on what we truly enjoy and what's positive to us. And then the G for giving. So trying, when we look at gifts, try to be meaningful and sharing time with others. It doesn't always have to be about those materialistic things. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then just some examples of what redefining can look like. So again, like I said, evaluating every year and take some time to see, what do these holiday celebrations really mean to me? And if I need to shift that, what does that look like? And so that goes into the next tip of starting small. So that could be, I realize that the holidays have shifted in their meaning to me, or my family structure has changed in a way that now we're doing things differently. We're adding in new traditions. That can be overwhelming. So start small. Do one tradition or habit at a time each holiday season, and make it intentional so that you can sustain that throughout the years. Embracing change, again, a part of this whole redefining is that change will come along with it. And sometimes that can be hard. The other thing that we discussed a little bit is that the holidays can be difficult times, especially in the grieving process. If this is the first holiday without a loved one. And so it's important to note that, and then also embrace that change can be hard, but it can also be good, and it can be a way to shift those traditions. And then the final way that you can redefine things is by getting involved in different ways, community-based activities during this year, and also volunteering. I know we're going to do something as a group here at work for volunteering coming up in the holidays. So trying to find fun ways to redefine and shift in that way as well. And then we wanted you guys to walk away with some resources, some things to think about that might help you in addition this time of year. So the first thing is your employee assistance program through your company. So look to see, do you guys have an employee assistance program, and what do they offer? They can offer not only free therapy for those who may need it because you're stressed or seasonal depression throughout this time of year, but they also have a ton of great work-life balance resources that can help you with planning. Looking into apps, there's tons of apps you can get on your phone, not only for mental health, but also holiday planning. So I love a good mindfulness app, helping you with stress reduction. That can be something that you can turn on during your walk to help you kind of unwind during those stressful holiday times. There's tons of planning apps for putting your lists in there, meal planning, things like that. Also, there's tons of great free workouts and workout apps that can help you to stay active while at home. You may not have time to go to the gym, or maybe you're doing more at-home stuff. And then, as we mentioned a little bit with the finances, there's tons of budgeting apps to make sure that you're staying on track and that's not just an additional stressor this time of year. And the final resource is enlisting in those friends and family. So making sure that you are asking for help and not trying to take it all on yourself.
Absolutely. And one I really love to use is kind of combining the app usage as well as enlisting friends and family. I love to just create a note on my phone, that notes app, and sharing it with the people are going to be at your event, so they know what you're providing, or if they are going to fill in those gaps, they can jot those down so that people aren't double providing for that. It just kind of keeps everyone in the loop.
I love that. Yeah.
So quickly, we're just going to go through some takeaways. And as we wrap up and send you into the holiday season, just for you to remember how important it is to take care of yourself mentally and physically. I know it's a time of giving, but that should not come at the expense of your mental health, physical health, or your financial health.
Yeah.
Bringing up the money aspect. So please don't overdo it. Attend only what you can handle. Plan ahead and delegate those tasks. Be realistic with yourself and communicate your needs with your friends or family so they know how to jump in and help you. And then enter each party with something you are grateful for and remind yourself of the good that's surrounding you.
For sure. Thank you so much, guys. And if we do have any questions, we'll take those now. But I do want you guys to know that we will be taking December off of our webinars. We want you guys to enjoy this holiday season. We will have our next well-being webinar in January of 2025, so we hope to see you guys for that. Okay, and it looks like we don't have any questions here, so we'll go ahead and let you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.